The advancement of technology is taking a foothold on the future of sports and the fan experience, and the data is here to back it up. According to Statista, the use of new technology is transforming the way that today's fans and consumers interact with and experience sports, both inside and outside of a stadium or court. During a global survey in 2023, just under 80% of respondents said they increased their spending on technology-enabled devices and merchandise, including virtual reality headsets and wearable technology. Meanwhile, the Forbes Business Council says that the increased technology has not only significantly impacted the way athletes prepare for games and competitions, but it also had a dramatic and drastic effect of influencing the business of sports. In the way games are promoted, fans spend their money, and the way owners are marketing to them on a daily, weekly, and yearly basis. This is all good news for my friend Charles Sims. For over 8 years, Sims served as the chief technology officer for the Los Angeles Clippers and owner Steve Ballmer, where he was instrumental in transforming the team's technology infrastructure and driving innovation in sports tech. Following his stint with the Clippers, Sims spent 3 years as the chief technology officer for United Talent Agency, the third largest media and entertainment agency in the world, where he led innovation and strategic initiatives, all centered around technology. And today, Sims and his journey has been anything but ordinary, with a career path which has been marked with over $1.5 billion in successful transitions and acquisitions. He says he's had the privilege of working on some of the most challenging and high-stakes deals in the industry, and he joined me this week to have a conversation about his experience in sports tech, the future of the industry, and so much more. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. With that, Charles, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program, my friend, and I'm super excited to learn about your experience in technology and sports, my friend. Happy Monday, and thanks so very much for being here.
Happy Monday, Kevin. Thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. Now, Charles, I know that you're a tech investor and entrepreneur, and you've got over 15 years of experience in the field of technology and sports, my friend. So tell me in your own words, how does technology and sports meet the intersection of your life, my friend?
Well, it's a great question. I think one of the things I learned in my times with the LA Clippers that Steve Ballmer was really passionate about is he's somebody who comes from technology and really thinks that technology can change the world, change experiences, and in stadiums it can really transform how you experience the game. But it's important that the technology doesn't overrun the game. It almost kind of fades into the background where you just have the best experience that you've had, and you never even think that technology changed that and gave you that nice personalized experience. So when I think of how technology really intersects with sports and intersects with entertainment is around that idea of how do you really improve the experience of whether it's watching movies, experiencing games in the stadium, games at home, interacting with others, or even how the teams are selecting the players, not letting technology get so overwhelming and so deep into the weeds that it's not actually adding value to the experience itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And Charles, tell me about the 8 years you spent with the Clippers and what you most learned out of that experience, my friend.
I love the Clippers. So I got to spend some great times with them, some hard times with them, but it was pandemic was one of the most interesting experiences that we've had. As far as we had in a span of about 48 hours, we had to take all 300 or so of our employees from being at work to working directly from home. We had to produce the first pandemic playoffs where we had fans that were coming and watching the games over Teams, and then we're rebroadcasting their images back over in the stadium in Florida. And at the same time, we also had the acquisition of the LA Forum, the world renowned third most busiest musical venue in the world, and we had never done anything in music production or live music production before. And so in my time there at the Clippers, I learned both the internal world of how technology can really enable enterprises, how you can use technology to enable the front office and help out, make it easy for the team itself to be playing, how to enable technology for the fans and make the best experience they can, and a little bit of in the world of music for the last 2 years I was there, how technology really shifts the way that music is enjoyed by fans as they're coming into the stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. And Charles, I know that you were with you have experience in the NBA technology space. And out of the four major sports, I think the NBA has really leaned into technology the most in terms of fan engagement and getting fans involved in the game of basketball, my friend. So how do you think technology has acted as an assistant to the NBA to grow their product? What are your thoughts there, my friend?
It's a great question, and I definitely would posit that NBA tends to be one of the forerunners when it comes to technology. They invest every single year into innovation. They have a dedicated team around technology and innovation. They're one of the first that were playing in the VC and startup space. So NBA Launchpad, they're always investing in the next thing. And what those of us who've worked within technology within sports, it's hard. It is a really hard environment to really be successful, because if you think about it, even if you're the best platform for NBA, you only have 30 or so customers that could potentially be your best customers. Now, if you think about that across any of the leagues, it's hard to really break into sports technology. And so I think NBA has done a great job investing in those smaller startups, bringing that space in and partnering with the other sports leagues to also kind of share their insights. I think one of the things that I always appreciated with one of the groups I put together, which was the Pro Sports Advisors, about 180 or so CIOs, CTOs across NBA, NFL, MLB, was how much everyone was willing to kind of share what they've learned and how they've been able to tackle the technology. And so, like, I guess to answer your original question, what is NBA doing specifically to shift the game, or what are they doing specifically that is innovative within technology? It is they're being open, they're trying new things, and they're continuously evolving. They're not resting on the laurels. They're not trying to just we have replay and that's going to be the best tech that we've ever had. No, they're always pushing the needle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know for you personally, Charles, you've helped to lead more than $1.5 billion in acquisitions, my friend. And you've navigated some of the most complex deals in the sports and entertainment space, my friend. So I'm curious to tap into your experience and what have you learned most personally about yourself and the industry during your 15 years in the field, my friend. What are your thoughts there?
I appreciate the question. Yeah, I think I kind of fell backwards into the M&As and the transactions, surprisingly. But one of the things that I found during the experience there is how often when people want deals to get done, when they want transactions to get done, whether it's a merger or it's an acquisition, or it's just the next round in financing or next round in raise for a startup, there's this momentum, and that momentum usually overrides a lot of foundational diligence that needs to go out and go on. Usually they're going to be doing very, very good diligence on the accounting side. They're going to do very, very good diligence on the sales and how well that side is doing. But technology, historically, in my experience, kind of doesn't, it's cleaned over. So the ability to come in with a seat at the table to really talk about how much it's going to take to bring this new acquisition up to speed or up to snuff to our standards, or what the liability might cost us if we bring this organization on and they don't have the right cyber protections or whatnot, and what those real world costs are. That's some of the biggest learnings I have, is almost like any transaction that you're doing, having a mental internal balance sheet. And that balance sheet is saying, well, here's some tech debt that we have over here, and that's going to cost us $250,000 just to get it done in 6 months worth of our time. Okay, let's adjust the sale price or the buy price on the other side, because you're always trying to adjust those, rather than going and buying a $200 million beautiful acquisition of a company and all of a sudden realizing we have about $3 million that we have to spend just to get them up to speed and get them into integrated into our system. Integration is really, really tough.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about integration being difficult, I also wanted to ask you about how technology can make the sports product more efficient. And what I mean by that is, I'm thinking about when you have like a first down in the NFL or a controversial call that technology can assist with. How do you think technology can make the viewing experience more sort of tangible and make the results more accurate, my friend? What are your thoughts there?
It's a great question, and I think it's a debate that we've heard for years when it comes to replay, whether or not replay is going to ruin the feel of the game. We don't want to take the game out of the hands of the ref. And so there's these two concepts when you talk about game technology, and there's authoritative game technology. That's where the technology actually makes the decision. Think about tennis, when they're challenging whether a ball is in or out, and it goes to that replay and it shows if it's in or out. That makes the decision and not the judge themselves. Where assistive technology is going to be technology that is like a replay, that the ref still uses their own judgment to make the decision on the play. Almost like when you think about AI and the human in the loop, one is the technology that just makes the decision, and one is the technology that helps you decide whether or not you made the right decision or not. Between those two, I think the regular fan is always going to want the human involved. Like, there is a reason we have refs. We're not going to go to a place where it's just all tech deciding balls in or out, deciding whether or not it's a first down or not. Like, there is going to be there's always going to be some level of you want that human in the game. But that assistive technology you've seen blow up in the past 5 to 10 years, where you have 40, 50 cameras on every NFL field. You have 20, 25 cameras on every NBA stadium. Every soccer stadium has a massive amounts of these cameras all around to assist so that when a ref does need to check a play, or if they do need to see if something was in or out, they have a lot more assistive technology to help them do that. So I think that speeds it up if done right. Now, the opposite, if done wrong, when you like analysis paralysis, when you have 40 cameras to look at and you don't, and you're flipping through a bunch of them, all of a sudden it takes longer. And now that 2 hour game becomes 4 hours and 5 hours. So I think it's the balance between those two, but I don't think it's going towards all authoritative tech.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Charles, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you this afternoon, buddy, is I originally went to college to become a sports reporter. And I know that we both love telling great sports stories, my friend. So what do you think about the elements that it takes to tell a great sports story in today's landscape, my friend? What are your thoughts there?
So a great sports story is a story that brings the storyteller and listener into the same space. So when you're talking about, I remember when I first saw Shaq for the first time, or I shook DeAndre Jordan's hand, and you're not just talking about just what happened. You're talking about what room you're in. You're talking about what the feeling was like. Who else was there? You're trying to create this entire environment of what the story was placed in with words. And I think one of the beauties of the way that why sports is so perfect for storytelling is there's so many of these things that come down to how you tell a normal story. And when you think about sports, you're starting to include all those details just naturally. It's the last quarter of the game. We are down 15 points. The ball was in the opposing hands. Coach called timeout. Now, just all of a sudden, you've created like an atmosphere of what it's like. We're at the opposing teams. We're at the opposing team's arena. Everybody's shouting, blah 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 blah. Like adding more and more detail to a story that then when you're having your anecdote or your takeaway, the story listener really understands, and they know, and it feels like they're there, and they get the goosebumps while they're listening. If you think about how technology helps with that, technology is just a natural gatherer of information of all the pieces that are around it. So if you are trying to ask what are like that one press conference that Larry Bird did in back in the 70s, and you're trying to really dive into it, the more of those pieces that can help you fill in the blanks of, you have 3 different camera angles. You might have had a few of these different sports writers, their own stories of it, different pieces of it, but now you have 80 different angles. You have 4 or 5 different audio tracks with all of the background noise muted out. You have transcription into multiple different languages. You have the look and the feel. You have the game, the box score. All of that information coming through technology enablement means those stories can really have a lot more of a power of a punch. And now you're getting into even highlights. You're starting to see technology do a really good job of providing a 60-minute game down into a 5-minute highlight very, very quickly, and with that moves you. It's the same thing I like to talk about with. Do you have an Apple or Android?
Apple, yeah.
Apple. Do you do a lot of photos on your Apple?
I do, yeah.
Do you get the little memories where it says, "Hey, do you remember this or do you remember that?" And it's like a slideshow of 30 or so of your photos, and it kind of makes you go, "Oh wow!" It brings you back to that time.
I got it. It does the same thing on Facebook, right? The Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
Yes.
absolutely, yeah.
So now think about that. Like that's a great example of something where technology is telling a story just by pulling in the information that it like that you have provided, and so enabling even greater stories, even deeper stories across a massively impactful, whether it's sport or if it's entertainment, whatever it may be. I think technology really does have the opportunity to enable that storytelling.
Yeah, and outside of sports, technology has really transformed the world of business as a whole, my friend. And intersect with our daily life, my friend. So how do you think the world of business and daily life will be sort of forever transformed because of technology? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, Kevin, our daily lives, it's hard to argue that they haven't changed, because they've changed dramatically from 20 years ago to 10 years ago to 5 years ago to even a year ago to how much technology is in our ecosystem, our personal ecosystem. As far as I'm waking up from a personalized alarm clock based on the time I go to bed and how my sleep cycles are. I'm being prepped by my digital assistant on what do I have to prep for that day, what meetings I have, who I'm talking to. I am I'm understanding what's the week look like. Is this going to be a really long week? Is it going to be a short week? I'm being prepped for each meeting, who I'm talking to, what we're talking about. So I think like in the daily lives, technology has really changed the ability to help personalize your own your knowledge base and personal and prepare you for whatever you may be doing. And if you want it to, at the same time, technology has a way of overburdening a lot of folks. And one of the pieces I talk about is I've seen some of the most amazing technologies never make it because they can't be adopted, or they're too difficult or cumbersome, or they're not intuitive. And so you need to be thinking whenever if we're looking at what technology really is changing the world right now, it's easily accessible, it's adaptable for business, it works across the entire organization. It's not just something this is something really, really cool for marketing, but no one else really understands the value. But we're going to force everybody to play with this new AI user-generated content marketing tool, or we're going to force everybody to use Power BI for all of their reporting, when in reality, the FP&A and accounting and finance are the only people who really understand how to use it. And so I think for organizations, it's being able to understand what is the standard, what's the minimum tech we need to have, and then what are the pieces that really can change how we're doing things, and not overcomplicate that roadmap or those milestones.
Charles, how do you think technology has affected the way that we view pop culture and the way that we consume information? What are your thoughts there?
Well, social media has absolutely changed how we consume information. The reach that social media allows you to have, it makes makes the audience that you can talk to so much broader and so much greater, and potentially with lesser authority of the three channels of TV that we used to watch 40-50 years ago. And so I think that the ability for folks to engage and watch content on any of their different OTTs, the different streaming apps, the social medias, et cetera, means that there's more content than there's ever been in our entire lives combined. But at the same time, curating that content, getting what you really care about, what interests you, that's always been the battle. You see a lot of the social media or organizations trying to get their algorithm perfect to get you addicted to their specific content, but that's an ever-changing landscape for sure.
Yeah, and Charles, I'm curious to ask you about the workforce and helping individuals with disabilities better be seen in the workforce, my friend, because I talk to businesses about the importance of hiring folks with disabilities. And, the advancement of technology has made that a whole lot easier, my friend. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on the importance of hiring folks with disabilities and why technology has really given them the opportunity to do so, my friend.
Yeah, it's a great question. And when I speak to CEOs and leaders about what is the perfect makeup of a team to really be able to adopt and engage in technology, or even in just regular business strategy, and I heavily believe in having a broad set of varied voices, and varied voices might be from different demographics, from different socioeconomic backgrounds, from different places around the U.S., from how you grew up to what you went through in your life. And if you could distill those backgrounds, if you have just one set of voices in the room, you're going to have one set of outcomes and one set of the way that they solve things. But technology has removed a lot of the barriers that most people would have for being able to express what they really feel or how they really feel. And I think technology, along with enabling those disabilities, is extremely important, because we can get over some of the inherent disabilities that in physical nature are hard to overcome, are hard to, whether it's somebody who can't make it to being in the office all day every day, or somebody who is unable to speak at length in board meetings, et cetera, et cetera. Now technology can reduce those barriers of, you can still, like, we've seen people be able to be fully abletized across video platforms, be able to use text, email, these other things. Even like the transcription technology has changed so dramatically since AI has enabled it, that you aren't in this space of being really confined to whatever your brain and body can do together to put an output. It's like you can really extract a lot of what you're trying to, like, what the essence of you is. And so as I talked to those CEOs originally of, hey, you need to have voices in the room that will help you solve challenges with varying backgrounds, no matter what, that now aligns with, now, with those with the disabilities, that they're able to use technology to be just as valuable, if not more valuable, because they have one of those varied voices. They've gone through one of those hardships. They know what it's like to be on the other end of the phone call, or what their mind would be thinking of if they were being sold something in that way. And so I'll pause there, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And Charles, I wanted to talk to you about the technology equity split. And what I mean by that is, if CEOs or business people are watching this and they're saying to themselves, I want to use technology to advance my business or organization, but I also want to stay true to my core principles of what I know works and what got me here. What would you say to them about striking the right balance between the two, my friend? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, at the end of the day, technology doesn't replace, like, that core essence of what we are, who we are, and the creativity, the creativity that we can bring. And I think it's hard pressed for me to say that technology can absolutely do everything. If you have a brand new business, you can throw AI in there and it's going to do just as well as any other small business. But in reality, that core ethos, those core values that CEO might be holding on to, if you think about technology as an enablement or empowerment of those, now you can start using technology to take away things that people don't necessarily want to do or enjoy doing, or isn't worth their time. The easy one are meeting notes. Is there value in somebody taking meeting notes for every single meeting just for them to go into the trash somewhere? No, like, we have a lot of these transcription type software, or even the brainstorming, utilizing a lot of the AI tools as you're going through creative brainstorming, and you're trying to find a structure, giving your team tools and tool sets that are allowing them to be their own creative selves, and solutioning what their piece is. That's in no way trying to break down or take away the core values that these CEOs and these leaders are looking for. It's taking away the things that they would agree isn't worth others' time.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Charles, I know you're someone that believes strongly in both technology, innovation, and empathy, my friend. So how do you think innovation and empathy can be on the same wavelength of technology, my friend? What are your thoughts there?
Kevin, it's a great question. It's something I love talking about, because I implemented technology for so many years. I remember seeing the faces on the other side when we're saying we're putting in a new CRM or putting in a new email, we're migrating from this database to that database. and you would see the fear, and fear would turn to either anger or frustration. This thing doesn't work. This program is so much worse than the last one was. I just want to go back to the last one. And more often than not, what I had learned through those years was they weren't frustrated just because it's new technology. They were frustrated because they didn't necessarily know exactly how that new thing worked. And most technologists would just go, wait, this is easy. This is easy for me. Why can't it be easy for you? Like, I understand why this new program is that much faster. Like, why can't you just get that? And that's not being empathetic. That is going from the lens that you have, that your personal experiences has really fueled. And if you shift that a little bit and you go, okay, they're not mad at me. They're not being frustrated with me. They're being frustrated because they might be scared. They might be fearful of, is this really going to make my life that much more difficult, more harder, or more? It's going to take more time, et cetera. And now, if you can get them from that level of fear to excited and wanting to do it, you now see such a faster engagement into these tools, into these new pieces. And so, leading with empathy, asking questions of what about it is something that might scare you. I speak a lot now on these keynotes talking about AI and how AI is shifting the entire landscape within entertainment and sports, and also the general public. And a lot of questions come up where it's, my kid's in high school, he's about to go to college, he doesn't know what he's going to study. Well, ask some more questions of like, don't just think AI is going to replace absolutely everything. How do we make them even more adaptable and agile to be able to use AI to to shift the next industry or become the next thing? So empathetic innovation, in my eyes, is all around this area of not leading through fear or slamming down certainties. We're forcing this on anybody. It's getting them excited and getting them engaged and getting them involved with the actual the movements that we are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Charles, I asked you earlier about inclusive workforce in terms of people with disabilities, but I also wanted to ask you more broadly, how do you think AI will transform the way we look at the workplace and productivity and production and just the workplace overall? What are your thoughts there?
I definitely see I see AI as being something that will inevitably make smaller startups able to scale much faster, much easier. And so what I think you're going to start seeing is a lot of little businesses making massive impacts in the industry. And so a lot of people talk about how AI is going to take away jobs or it's going to replace jobs. In reality, I think what you're going to see is those same people might leave their current 10,000, 20,000 person company to go to a startup or go to something that is with 2 or 3 people that they really enjoy and like are passionate about moving forward. And now AI is enabling those 3 to 5 people to really make a difference in that specific product line. And so I would say when we're talking about the future of the workplace overall, it's going to be a lot more fragmented rather than these big conglomerates. I think you're going to see these small startups be able to provide massive amounts of value much faster than historically it has been so.
Yeah, absolutely. And Charles, I'm also curious to get your thoughts on how we can use AI in our everyday lives to do things like start conversations at networking events. If people are hesitant or timid in networking settings, sometimes they use them for meeting starters or conversation starters. So how do you think we can use AI in that regard, and how do you think it'll transform our everyday lives moving forward, my friend?
Absolutely. I do this I do this course called like demystifying AI for those who don't understand technology. And one of the main things I do is just get everybody onto some sort of chat AI. So whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, a Gemini, it doesn't really matter. And what AI is really good at is giving you a structure for something. So if you're saying, "Hey, I'm going to a networking event," what is a good conversational starter based upon my background and what the event is about, and it will give you a really solid structure that then you can kind of play around with. If you're saying, "Hey, I am I am just leaving. I'm an engineer who is about to leave his current role and is looking to apply to new jobs. What is like a 30-day roadmap for me to be able to really be successful at that?" And it's really good at creating that structure, giving you an outline. Again, it's not going to tell you and do everything for you. What it's going to do is give you a structure that allows you to at least have some place to start. So I think in the examples that you were providing, it's those things in the everyday lives when you might be hesitant. Usually most folks are hesitant because of they haven't done it before. Well, use AI to help you have that framework or create those little mini structures of tried and true formats of how you introduce yourself to people, how you ask about what somebody is working on, how you pitch your product or your company or anything like that.
Yeah, and for you personally, Charles, I'm curious, where does your love for sports and entertainment come from, and where are your sports interests lying these days, my friend?
And my dad was always a lover of basketball and sports, and I played throughout my school career. So I loved sports as just a easy thing for me to be around a lot of people that I really enjoyed being around, and getting as I shifted into the professional world, sports became kind of that thing that was the glue that allowed you to have a conversation. To one of our earlier points, with somebody that you wouldn't normally have a conversation, to use that as the excuse, talk about the Clippers, talk about the Lakers, talk about the X whatever sports team, just to get a conversation going. And so like I love the unifying fact that sports has always had amongst folks. And then finally I think I'm blessed with the many years I spent with the Clippers, because it showed me how passionate the people inside of sports are, how hard these athletes have worked, how hard these coaches have worked, how hard the people on the community side or the business side have worked in that arena as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just very quickly, Charles, I'm also curious to ask you about sports betting and how technology has affected sports betting moving forward, my friend. What are your thoughts there?
Sports betting has been massively enabled by technology, and it's a hard topic because I'm not as familiar with it since I left the Clippers. But I do know that sports betting is both being introduced at scale to the consumer, as well as enabled in the arenas themselves. How do they ensure that the feeds are as fast as they can? How do they ensure bets are being properly put into place in the right order that they're coming in, et cetera? So while I can't really give a great answer on the specifics of technology in sports betting, I can say that it is, without technology, sports betting would have nowhere near the breadth and the impact that it has today.
Well, the Super Bowl coming up, my friend. What are your predictions for the big game this Sunday, my friend?
For the third year in a row, I have no idea. But my brother, sister-in-law, and their kids all live in Philadelphia. So go Eagles!
Oh, well, it would be nice to have a different line of celebration, but you never want to shy away from history, so it should be an interesting game, right?
Absolutely, I think that's a great point.
Absolutely, my friend. And my final question for you today, Charles, has to do with your own personal and professional legacy, my friend, and how you want that to be defined.
I think I want to be known as the empathetic entrepreneur, the one who brings technology into places that normally wouldn't be either looked at or seen historically as the most advantageous to take on in technology, but now because the technology has completely changed their entire organization or the employees' lives. I think I'd like to be somebody who is an advocate for what the good of AI and the good of technology can be, and potentially even be used against what the bad of AI and bad of technology has been and will be. So as I look towards the future and my past, I'm very passionate about everything I've done up until this point. But as I now shift into this next section, I think it is being a impassioned leader and evangelist of doing the right with technology and empowering those around us who might not necessarily know how or have the ability to use it in the same way that we do.
Yeah, absolutely. And Charles, I know you recently started a new AI company, my friend, and I know that you've got a lot of projects on the go, my friend. So tell me, if people want to get connected with you, my friend, what's the most effective way they can do that?
The easily most effective way is come to hurricanecto.com or LinkedIn/Charles Sims, SIMS.
Fantastic. Well, my friend, I really enjoyed our discussion on sports, technology, and life, my friend, and everything in between. You're really making a positive inroad to the space, my friend, and I want to thank you for engaging in conversation and for being here this afternoon. It's most appreciated.
I appreciate it, Kevin. It was great meeting you.